Mr. Kenneth Bumington, we got to talk about this newest acquisition of the WWE, Stephanie Vaquer. I still don't know how to say her surname, to be honest with you, but I've been doing a little bit more research on her, and I've also, seen what she's done in the live event debut. She had an interesting theme song. I wonder if that's going to be like her permanent theme song. She came out there for a pretty, decent reaction. I mean, it was like her people. So she was in, basically a home situation. Yep. So like, I thought like she's very well put together in the sense that she knows what she's doing in the ring. Like she got it all basically settled. She knows her look. Like she's ready. Like I don't even know if you would put her in NXT. You know what I mean? Unless you want to teach her some promo or maybe add a what do you call it, a manager with her, and that's what you want to test out. Maybe then you can put her into NXT. But I feel like she's another Asuka. When she first came into NXT, Asuka pretty much had everything. Maybe they had to work on, like, oh, sell to this camera, do your moves to this camera for Asuka. But I felt like she was also very much ready for the main roster as well. Then they messed up Asuka, even though she's really successful. I think Stephanie has the potential to be even more successful because there's no Vince McMahon here to make her lose to Charlotte in her first WrestleMania match ever. So, I'm looking more and more positively to Stephanie, and I'm seeing more and more what the hype is about. But enough about me. Me and Brian, we already talked about her. So in this video, I kind of want to get your general thoughts about Stephanie. What do you think about her? Do you think she has what it takes? Is she catching your eye right now?
Absolutely not. Does she have what it takes? I mean, I'm sure, because all of these girls can wrestle these days. And her match with Mercedes Moné, it wasn't bad at all, but it wasn't anything that stood out to me that was crazy. Like, oh, this woman, they gotta put her on the AEW roster. I just looked at it like, okay, all of these people are coming in for Forbidden Door. Let's go ahead and get them out of here so we can go ahead and continue with the AEW stories. But apparently, I don't think everybody, like, she didn't really shake the world in that Forbidden Door match. But when WWE signed her, that for whatever reason, now everybody loved her, and it was such a big signing. It was such a great thing. This is groundbreaking. But when that match happened, like, I know you and Brian talked about her, but Brian was saying the match was boring. He was not invested. He didn't care about it. But when she signed to WWE, then he started making a big deal about it. So
yeah, you're right.
I'm not hyped about her just because she signed to the WWE or a big company. She's gonna have to show me something, because the only thing I really saw from her in a Mercedes Moné match that stood out was when she like put her legs in her head and started banging her head on the mat. I was like, all right, that was a cool move.
That's interesting. Yeah, agreed.
Out. And that's really it. But the hype is crazy. Everybody's in love with the young lady right now. So I'm not gonna hate on her. So she just gotta deliver. But I will tell you this, kiddo.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen a lot of these Mexican stars come into WWE, and they had issues because of their language.
Yeah.
Like Andrade, superstar. Absolute superstar. But I think his big problem where he has that disconnect is where his English isn't too great. Eddie Guerrero, great English. Rey Mysterio, great English. But when these guys come in and they can't speak English, Alberto Del Rio, he had great English, and they kind of took him to the moon. But
he cooked. Until he didn't.
I think the lack of his success was more his fault as a performer and a person.
For sure.
WWE just can't really handle these people who can't speak these other languages. They started doing good with Shinsuke when they gave him the subtitles, but I don't know if that was connecting or not, or it was just too late.
It was at that point way too late. I thought you were going to say they started off with Shinsuke good because he was great in NXT. Yeah, great. He was beating John Cena on top of the world, and at WrestleMania, all of a sudden, Vince just pulled the rug under him. So that was pretty much him, like his career there. Now, I said this exact same thing on our last video when I was with Brian. Like, that language barrier is real, and it's gonna be tough for her to overcome it. If she can, that's great for her. Like, I get it, I get the hype, and she's like, a Latina, woman, and I guess WWE might be looking for a spearhead when it comes to the woman in that, section, for those fans. And like, I guess she'll play a great role, but I agree. Like I see that. Well, for example, here she's down the rounds. Like had a match with pretty much anybody in, if not in AEW and other indie promotions and CMLL. But yeah, it's gonna be a whole nother ball game right now, because if she proved herself to, just as an example, 10 people, now she's gonna have to prove herself to 10,000. And will she be able to do that without being able to speak? Now, I don't know, but people did point out Asuka, for example. Like, she was pretty good. And I would argue that if she didn't get basically jobbed out to Charlotte, you would definitely gotten more mileage out of Asuka, especially when she first debuted on the main roster. So that's going to be my next question. Do you think that just like an Asuka, Stephanie has that potential to be successful, even though, all Asuka does is dancing and screaming? You know what I mean? She somehow made it just because she's so good. She can, quote unquote, go like crazy in the ring. That's what they always say about Asuka, right? So do you think Stephanie can basically have a similar legacy like that?
Well, I don't know, because I was watching NXT every week when Asuka was down there, and she was having impressive matches.
Oh yeah,
week
she was.
after week. I was like, this girl is going insane. And when she gets to the main roster, there's no way they can drop the ball on her. She had the big undefeated streak, and she took it all the way to the main roster, and they just cooked her. But I mean, Asuka, she's just on another level in the ring. One of the best women's wrestlers they have. As far as her doing the dancing and stuff, I get it. If she can't speak English, she has to get her personality over some way.
Yeah.
And I like the way she screams her language. Like, she speaks Japanese, just screaming it into the microphone. We don't know what she's saying, but she's still getting her personality across. With Stephanie, I don't think she's as good in the ring. Well, she's definitely not as good as Asuka in the ring. So, I mean, she's going to have to bring it with that personality to make up for it. She's a pretty woman. So, I mean, she's winning in that department, but you got to connect with the audience. And if she can't do that, I mean, look at Emelina, beautiful woman, but for whatever reason, she wasn't connecting and she just never worked out. So she's going to have to figure it out, man. And will WWE let her wear those horns on her head? Because they try to stay away from like religious stuff. So
I think it'll be fine. Like, you see Zelina Vega do all sorts of cosplay stuff. I've never seen her wear horns, to be exact. But people don't make a specific fuss about it, I don't know if it's really religious. Is it? Do you know anything about it?
Well, I mean, I look at them as devil horns, but maybe she's saying she's the goat. Maybe they're gold horns.
Devil, maybe a succubus. I don't know. But
yeah, succubus. I mean, succubus.
Come on, we're going on to Netflix. Come on now. Look, what worries me about this is Asuka was crazy before she came to the WWE, when she was still at a very high level, especially at NXT. But that main roster, like, for a fact that they're going to strip away 90% of the moves you do. You're going to not be wrestling as crazy as you are. So that's also going to be almost, taken away for a large chunk. So that makes her character even more important. But maybe she'll be one of those, I guess, special wrestlers that they'll focus on their wrestling only because of that. But I don't know. But yeah, it's interesting. I'm more curious now, and I hope she succeeds. I also want to see what happens with her, I guess, classmate at this point, Julia, because they're pretty much looking like they're gonna come in at the same timing, and I think Julia is a similar situation. But yeah, I think you have a pretty grounded take on this, and I am really curious as to why people all of a sudden, as soon as she signed to the WWE, went crazy, because many other people signed to the WWE too, man, women, doesn't matter, but for some reason when Stephanie did it, exactly. So
Shawn Michaels was giving her shout outs, but with the reception and the feedback being so huge, do you think they should start her in NXT, or should they just catapult her to the main roster?
Honestly, if you're not gonna do any changes to her character and to her presentation, like what we saw at the live event was like satisfactory, then I wouldn't mind a main roster push, get her up there and have her beat get the title for Bayley, maybe, because they're not doing anything with Bayley. I don't
Yeah,
know.
see, I just didn't like when they come in and get the title so early, just like Tiffany Stratton. I don't want her to get it no time soon because I like the chase. Like, make her chase for a while, make her want it. Because when you win the championship so early, okay, now what is there left to do? You already won the championship. We don't want to see you get it again because you already did it. So I don't know, but I will tell you this, kiddo. I think WWE signed her at the right time because Elon Musk just hid all of our likes on X.
Right.
And that's all I got to say about that.